Hello, and welcome to episode 13 of Desert Fathers in a Year. I'm Jamie Baxter from Exodus 90. It's my privilege to walk alongside you as we read and meditate on Bishop Erik Varden's selections from the sayings of the Desert Fathers. For the last 3 weeks, we've meditated on peace, reading from the second chapter of the systematic collection. Like the sayings on perfection from February, the sayings on peace offer precious advice for our growth in holiness, flourishing, and wholeness. The bedrock is to understand first that the peace Christ offers us is totally other than the peace the world promises. It is deeply interior, and counterintuitively, peace is a battle. As we burn off the deadwoods of distraction, noise, and frenetic activity from our lives, we find the remarkable fact that the true source of our unpeace is always already within. This is what Abba Antony meant when he said that the pursuit of peace leaves one battle to be fought in the heart. One might even say that we surround ourselves with external noise so as to avoid the real battle of our passions. Abba Arsenius's life and example teach us just how radically we must fight for internal peace, and importantly, that one's path to holiness is different from another's. God, in His infinite and mysterious wisdom, has given each of us a unique constellation of talents, longings, and attitudes. And Abba Moses offered us a key to growth in self-knowledge and discernment. Go, sit in your cell, and your cell will teach you everything. We all have a cell, the place assigned to us by God in His loving design. As with perfection, so with peace, they require our pursuit and effort. Perhaps this is why these spiritual masters place the sayings on perfection first. We are required to be fit for purpose, to be and manifest ourselves as image and likeness of God, to see, as if with God's eyes, every event, situation, and person, every person, including ourselves. This inward gaze, preconditioned by the stripping away of distractions, reveals the source of our unpeace, and only there, beheld by God's gaze, is pure peace to be found, and with a work to do. When peace reigns in our hearts, it does not promise a stoic forbearance of life's challenges. To the contrary, it makes us more vulnerable. And this vulnerability is the meeting point of God and man, allowing us to become vessels of God's mercy. With that, I'll hand it over to Bishop Varden as we read and meditate on a short story about Abba Moses. This is episode 13 of Desert Fathers in a Year, Silence in Grief.
Another day, when a council was being held in Scetis, the fathers treated Moses with contempt in order to test him, saying, "Why does this black man come among us?" When he heard this, he kept silence. When the council was dismissed, they said to him, "Abba, did that not grieve you at all?" He said to them, "I was grieved, but I kept silence." Abba Moses' black skin is often referred to in the stories told about him. Of course, racial prejudice has a long, long history. It conditioned relationships in the 4th century as it does in ours. We must be wary, though, of reading ancient narratives with modern spectacles. This little story probes beyond questions of ethnicity. It speaks of negotiating hurt, of living with vulnerability. And therefore, I dare say, it has relevance for all of us. The setting is a council in Scetis, something like a republic of monastic desert dwellers in northern Egypt. The assembled fathers resolved to treat Abba Moses with contempt in order to test him. In the Gospels, you remember, we find people testing Jesus to trip him up. In biblical terms, a test isn't always a trap, however. Think of what Moses tells Israel in Deuteronomy, just as the people are about to take possession of the promised land. He says, "You shall remember all the way which the Lord your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness, that he might humble you, testing you to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not." God's testing has pedagogical intent. Its purpose isn't primarily to manifest man's heart to God, who knows what is in man. It is to reveal man to himself. Let's face it, we're all more or less prone to self-delusion. We may have grandiose ideas of our idealism, our spirituality, and our selflessness. The chances are, though, that at some metaphorical level we are plagued by an ingrown toenail. Something about our history, character, or looks that makes us feel insecure, so anxious, so disposed to self-protecting anger. We discover what is in our hearts when, notwithstanding the manicured elegance we like to project, when someone steps on that toenail, whether by accident or by design. Such discovery is pretty unpleasant, but can be very useful. For it is ill to ride some high horse of principle if in fact my chief concern is to hide some intimate complex. My outward position then will be shaped to some extent by inward fear, and fear, being an insidious impulse, will be likely to sway my judgment. My integrity is, as a result, compromised, and I may find myself subtly and unwittingly undermining the common good. Abba Moses was a highly respected and much loved monk in Sketis. His ethnic background was evident to all. It doesn't seem to have been a problem to anyone. The father seemed to have wished to establish whether it was an issue to Moses himself. Gathered in council, they doubtless had important business to discuss, and so they wondered, will Moses' judgment be objective, or will it be conditioned by a chip on his shoulder? This they set out to discover, testing the Abba's humility, probing his peace. That Moses' sense of self was rooted at a much deeper level is apparent from another story told about him. Again, the setting is that of a council. The story goes like this. A brother at Sketis committed a fault. A council was called to which Abba Moses was invited, but he refused to go to it. Then the priest sent someone to say to him, "Come, for everyone is waiting for you." So Abba Moses got up and went. He took a leaking jug, filled it with water, and carried it with him. The others came out to meet him and said to him, "What is this, Father?" The old man said to them, "My sins run out behind me, and I do not see them, and today I'm coming to judge the errors of another." When they heard that, they said no more to the brother, but forgave him. Abba Moses, free with regard to others' prejudice and his own secret wounds, interacted with the world not on the basis of calculable schemes of retribution, but from keen awareness of the utter disproportion between God's gracious holiness and human misery. That way, he became a vehicle of mercy and a vessel of peace. We're called to step outside our own shadow into the bright light of mercy. It may burn at first, but then it liberates, delivering us from imprisonment in the dark, dank dungeon of self.
The fathers treated Moses with contempt in order to test him, saying, "Why does this black man come among us?" When he heard this, he kept silence. When the council was dismissed, they said to him, "Abba, did that not grieve you at all?" He said to them, "I was grieved, but I kept silence." The promise of peace is not that we cannot be harmed or hurt, but an interior freedom to bear insult and injury as Christ did, to lay down our defenses and acknowledge our suffering in the disarming and resounding response of silence. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode. Please visit desertfathers.com to subscribe to our email newsletter. That's desertfathers.com. Desert Fathers in a Year is brought to you by Exodus 90, produced by EWTN, and written by Bishop Erik Varden. Men, download the Exodus 90 app today to join our Lent challenge. By his passion and death for us on the cross, Christ leads the ultimate exodus for all God's people out from the reign of sin and death. Throughout the 40 days of Lent, we'll meditate on the prophecies of Jesus' passion given by Jonah and Isaiah as we make an exodus of our own from the pharaohs of our time. Download the Exodus 90 app or visit exodus90.com to learn more. Saint Moses the Black, pray for us.